When everybody's working, are you guys able to all work together in a recording studio when you're doing the lines, or is everybody separate?
Yeah, we absolutely work together. Both TJ and I are present for the recording sessions.
But we record separately.
Right, the actors
all the
are-
actors.
Sorry, yeah, that's right.
The one difference between animation and video games is that we're generally in video games you're alone in the room, and that I think it really helps us follow the storyline in that sense and get all those, because it's so dialogue heavy. There's so much story to tell. You look at a general movie, that's 90 minutes or something. Games can go on for hundreds of hours. It's fantastic. It's this world we get to live. I mean, that's why we love it, right, guys? I mean, we love these games because it's a whole world we live in. And Ratchet and Clank is a world that, and again, because of the writing and the evolutions of the stories are just fantastic, the way they grow. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why we're solo in there with you. But I have great fun. I know you probably do as well.
Despite the yelling, no, TJ's writing is just phenomenal, and it's a great pleasure to say the words.
Yeah, it is.
I read the other day that I forget what website it was. It might have been Kotaku, but they were talking about that that the entire cast is returning to Ratchet and Clank, James Arnold Taylor, Jim Ward, Arnold Shimmerman, and I realized that I never really see that in a lot of other games. So it's a real testament to our characters and our actors and our universe that actually makes a difference to the people that play the game. They don't want to see anybody else but James play Ratchet or anybody but Arnold play the variants. Although I'm sure sometimes he wishes somebody else would play the variants.
And the funny thing about David and I, we have met twice. David K.
First time was on Tools of Destruction. Right?
Yeah, on Tools of Destruction, David K. and I finally got to meet. We got our photo together, and David is much taller than me, although everybody's much taller than me. And so it was great to actually meet, because here we've recorded all these hours of dialogue together and never actually met, so it was very cool.
It's kind of surreal seeing a picture of the two together, because like me, my first Ratchet game was Tools of Destruction, so I was kind of imagining them, James being the tall one, and then David being short. David's like, my height is like 6'2", 6'3".
Well, you're a strapping man, yes.
All right, well, since we're talking about Clank, you have mentioned that you guys are focusing a bit more on him, and I think at E3 you guys started to talk a little bit about what his gameplay was going to be like, but you actually have a video to show people exactly what to expect, because there is more Clank to play in this game. So talk to us about this time gameplay, because we played a little bit of it at E3, and the early part is kind of easy. It's very simple. You only have to clone yourself like 2 or 3 times, and it's all good. The later stuff gets a little crazy, so tell everybody what's going to be giving them a headache very soon.
Sure. One thing I just want to mention real quick is that there is a lot of Clank gameplay, obviously, in Secret Agent Clank, but this is for Insomniac. This is our first title where we've delved a lot more into Clank. And in terms of the time gameplay, what we really wanted to do was, on previous Ratchet and Clank titles, Clank always had a bunch of helper robots or zoning to help him out. And we dabbled a little bit with the time gameplay with the zoning and Tools of Destruction. So for this game, we really wanted Clank to help himself more and really change up how these puzzles work. So we did a lot of research looking at other time games, games like Braid. There was a Flash game called Chronotron, just like a bunch of fun little independent games that we were looking at. And we wanted to see how we could take some of these ideas and make it work for our universe and work for Clank. So, at the same time, though, we didn't want to create brain aneurysms and cause people to lock up. And so we wanted to make this very accessible, very intuitive. So we did a lot of research on having a number of people play through these various time prototypes that we had created. And so we finally settled on this whole time pad, multiple cells gameplay, which involves multiple buttons that Clank can stand on. And when he stands on a button, the player can record themselves, and then they can quickly just stand on each button, layering, creating multiple Clanks. And we developed a lot of kind of tools that people can use to kind of preview Clanks and where they're running around. And we found that a nice balance between kind of more action, platform style gameplay, but it was a puzzle, and you actually had to think. So this has been, what's really cool too is that we go back and forth between the Great Clock and Ratchet's perspective. So we're telling the story from 2 different perspectives. Because if we told an entire story about Ratchet searching for Clank, you wouldn't get to see much of it. So here we get to bounce back and forth and give you a little bit of the brawn gameplay with Ratchet as he uses all of his weapons, and the brains gameplay with Clank.
Yeah, also, just one of our biggest things that we wanted to focus on for this game was breaking the mold. It was one of our big directives from the beginning. There's been a lot of Ratchet and Clank games, and even for us as developers, we're always trying to challenge ourselves in new ways with new creative styles of gameplay. And we were really inspired by the indie scene, as Brian said, and the time gameplay from this is a direct result of us wanting to try something different and really kind of push in a new direction for our Clank gameplay.
Alright, now we've talked about a bunch of the new stuff, but it just wouldn't be Ratchet and Clank if there weren't a couple fixtures. Weapons being probably like the big one. So talk to us about the weapons for this game, because we saw there was a contest, there was even a winner. Talk to us about that approach. Yeah.
How's it going, Jackson?
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson, right down here in the front, he was the big winner of our weapons contest.
Tell us about the contest.
Sure.
And actually, we're going to see his. Are we going to see his weapon? Yes, we are.
How cool is that you did that, huh?
I don't know if you guys got to see the pictures of the physical model that he won as well, but it is pretty kick-ass.
So yeah, that was a really fun contest. We actually had designed a whole bunch of weapons. We had like an open slot. At that point, we were like, well, we still need to figure out what weapon goes in the slot. And one of our programmers, Andrew Yon, said, well, why don't we have a fan, design it? And we'll have a whole contest. So we talked to our community team, James Stevenson and Ryan Schneider. They organized this contest where we just had everyone submit over 1,000 ideas, and then we sat down and reviewed those thousands of ideas.
A lot of ideas.
Yeah, and it was really cool. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff out there, some great designs and some funny concepts. And the criteria that we kind of look at for all of our weapons is: are they strategic? Are they humorous? And is there a visual spectacle for them? And so it has to kind of rate a 10 roughly in one of those categories, and that's good to go. And so we kind of narrowed down all the finalists to 5 weapons, and then we had you folks vote on them, and then the Spiral of Death was the top one. So congratulations, Jackson.
Jackson, make me one of them!
And it is awesome to use in the game too. The Spiral of Death is a very overpowered weapon right now. Hopefully we'll be tuning that in the future, but it is a lot of fun to use.
That's right, and it upgrades to the Spiral of Carnage, which releases 3 different blades that zip around and kill multiple enemies at once.
You guys just can't leave it alone. You have to
Oh,
take
no.
it and turn it into something cool.
And tell us about the rest of the weapons in the game, because you guys don't recycle much from game to game. So tell us about the new stuff, and you guys have some new systems as well.
Actually there's a new line of weapons that we're introducing called the Constructo weapons. And this is these are a specific type of weapon that we're going to let players modify and change. So they can kind of take various parts and pieces like Legos and plug them together to form new types of weapons that function in different that function differently. And so you can also personalize your weapon. You can give it a different paint job. And we've got 2 weapons that we're going to reveal here called the Constructo pistol and the Constructo bomb glove. And they both fit into the archetypes of being, pistol and a bomb glove, but there's a lot of different things you can do to change them up and make them perform differently.
And this is an exclusive reveal here at Comic-Con. You guys are the first people in the world to see this.